There was a hand in the darkness, and it held a knife. My father's name being Pyrrha, and my Christian name Philip, my infant tongue could make of both names nothing longer or more explicit than Pip. It was a queer, sultry summer, the summer they electrocuted the Rosenbergs, and I didn't know what I was doing in New York. My mother used to tell me about the ocean. I will not drink more than 14 alcohol units a week. When I wake up, the other side of the bed is cold. Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents, grumbled Joe, lying on the rug. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. It was a dark and stormy night. The house didn't want her there.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Opening lines, not an easy thing. This is a viewer-generated topic. You can see it in our comments on our main YouTube page. And one that I think is a really great one for us to address. You can see in some of the examples that I read how tone, color, character are all introduced in a main line. I think Dickens established Pip's voice right away. I think Jane Austen established the tone of Pride and Prejudice in just that one sentence, which also basically tells you what the entire story is going to be about. Other opening lines, especially more modern ones, both Neil Gaiman's The Graveyard Book, Hunger Games, Forest of Hands and Teeth, a simple line, a simple statement of fact. The bed was cold, there was a hand in the darkness, and it held a knife. My mother used to tell me about the ocean. Makes you want to read the next sentence. Why? Why did her mother have to tell her about the ocean? Why is there a hand with a knife in the darkness? The bed was cold. Was she expecting someone to be there? Something that makes you want to read the next line, want to make you turn the page. Less about establishing voice and tone, I think, in some of the more modern examples than in things that I read from maybe the 18th and 19th century, which I think is sort of an interesting transition in modern fiction. The opening line for Banish, the house didn't want her there, was not originally the opening line. The opening scene is my main character, Bridget, standing across the street from a house in San Francisco's Sunset District, my grandmother's house, actually. And there's fog billowing down the street, sort of obscuring the house from view as the fog billows, and I describe the house and the fog, and then the line, the house didn't want her there, is actually, it was originally like the third paragraph. But my readers, when they were reading it, were all hooked when they got to that line. And eventually I was like, well, why don't I just put that line first? The house didn't want her there. Well, why didn't the house want her there? And what the hell is she doing there? And hopefully that makes you want to read more of the book. I'm not describing this very well. Actually, I did a whole blog post on how my opening page morphed as it went through edits with different readers and different versions. I'll put the link in the info below. It was from a couple months ago. So the sort of exciting thing that I teased last week, we're actually going to do next week. We're not going to take a week off. We're going to plow right through. So you want to check in on that. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to tune in to see it, but it's going to be really fun. I promise you that. But stay tuned this week where the rest of the Rebels will be telling you what their opening lines are and maybe sharing some of their favorites from other works of fiction.